Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Mayor Bennett?
I am very excited like you are this morning.
I am so excited. We are here this morning at the Field of Honor at Moraine Valley, and there are a lot of people, and things are starting to get exciting here. So, Mayor, what do you think of the event today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Mike LaBar, who came to me with this idea, and I said, hey, I'm all in. And as you can see today, all the work that went into it by him and you and the rest of the committee in putting this event on. I am so proud to be mayor today to be part of this event.
Yes, absolutely. And behind the scenes, Mayor, you have done a tremendous amount for us too. So we thank you so much as well.
You know what? I told Mike, whatever you need, let me know, and it's all worked out. I'm just thrilled to see so many veterans that are here today, those served in the past and those that are currently serving, to be all here as part of the ceremony. What a tribute to them. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. It is all about the veterans, and it is going to be a wonderful day today. So thank you all for being here, and we're ready to get rolling.
Thanks, Donna.
Thanks, Mayor.
Hold. All right, face. Prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Present arm. 2. Face. Forward. Arm.
Good morning, and thank you for attending the Palos Field of Honor. My name is Mike LaBar, and I'm one of the organizers of this event today. Before we get started, we're going to have a little music, patriotic music from Bruce Quintos from the Chicago Guard of Pipes and Drums. Please be seated. Before we start, I just want to make a little announcement. It's hot out here, and I apologize. The sun is shining, but it's a great day. We do have water over at the service club tent. If anybody needs some water, it's over there at the service tent to my left. I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Sylvia Jenkins, president of Moraine Valley College. Come up in just a moment and say a few things. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is indeed a great pleasure that Moraine Valley is here for the community. As I always say, the word community in our name means a lot to us. So you are Moraine Valley. I want to thank Mayor Bennett, Mr. LeVar, thank you all very much for coming forth and with this great idea and asking if the college could host the space. And we are very, very pleased and happy to do so. At our college, we support our veterans. We have students at our college who are veterans, and we have a center specifically dedicated to help the young men and women who have served in our military. So it gives me great pleasure on the behalf of the Board of Trustees, all of the faculty, staff, and students here at Moraine Valley to say welcome. This is your community college. Please feel free to come and visit at any time. Take classes. We'd love for you to take classes. Come and be a part of us for the many great things that we have to offer. So again, thank you, Mayor Bennett, for this honor to be able to host the Field of Honor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Jenkins, and all of the people here at Moraine Valley. They have been just marvelous. The police department, public works, all the staff has just been, anything we asked for, they did. As you may know, the main part of this event is to recognize our veterans and their service members. To do this, people have dedicated flags to their loved ones who have served. As we were coming to the end of the dedications, I was contacted by a friend who was a veteran, and he told me that he wanted to dedicate a flag for William C. Northingham, a U.S. Marine who was killed in action in 1969 in Vietnam. When I heard this story, it took me back. It really moved me. And a man who I never knew gave his life in a far-off land so that I could be here today to enjoy the freedoms that I enjoy and we enjoy. He gave his life for everything we have here today. I know that many others have similar stories. That is why I think it's important. It is such an honor to be able to recognize all the members of our armed forces who have served, and today is a small memento to all of those who have served. I would like to now introduce Mayor Jerry Bennett, Mayor of Palos Hills. He has guided us through the growth of our great city for the last 40 years. I'd like to thank him for his participation. When we came up with the idea, he was in from the very start. What can I do? What can I do? I'd also like to mention he's a good friend of mine. So I'd like to now introduce Mayor Jerry Bennett.
There's so many people speaking, the notes are all over the place up here, so I got to make sure I get the correct ones. Welcome to all who are here this morning to be part of this Field of Honor event. Each flag comes with its own story. It displays a tag identifying the person who sponsored the flag and the flag honoree. This living display of heroism flies as a patriotic tribute to the strength and unity of Americans and honors all who are currently serving, those that have served, and the men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice for our nation's security and freedom. The poet and author Rudyard Kipling used the term, "lest we forget," over 100 years ago to remind the world of the horrific sacrifice millions of soldiers gave on the battlefields of World War I. Since then, lest we forget, has become a common headline used by many writers and poets to describe the infamous historic events and people, especially those who sacrifice and have served this country. One of those poems I'd like to read this morning, and in fact it is also entitled, Lest We Forget. They answered the call with mighty hearts. They took a stand in the pursuit of liberty. They died on the land. Those that made it home carry a burden within their soul, more years behind them now, yet stories remain untold. We may never understand it, few hearts can comprehend the courage one must possess to rise and take a stand. So I ask of you this, dear friends and family, how will you remember this most earnest legacy? Today, it is with humble and most grateful heart that we collectively honor all past and present members of our armed forces and show our profound gratitude for their service and sacrifice in order to preserve the freedoms we hold dearly. Lest we will never forget. And thank you all, and God bless you all. At this time, would you please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please also stand now for the national anthem. You may be seated. Thank you. At this time, we're going to go a little bit out of order, but I'd like to call upon the Reverend Vasyl Sendadak, Pastor, St. Peter and Paul Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Reverend, please take.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today with you. On September 11, 21 years ago, the world was changed. We were changed the way we look at the world. It was a devastating day. However, this day brought the best out of people. It has become the National Day of Service, and remembrance, inspired by a remarkable spirit of unity, compassion, and service that arose immediately. As we join with people across the globe in remembrance of the victims of 9/11, those who were lost will never be forgotten. But we continue to pray for guidance, wisdom, and protection for the men and women in uniform who each day guard the world against terrorism, and pray for our government and local authorities, for Mayor Gerald Bennett, Alderman Michael Breyer, Alderman Donna Kakana, among others, who will work diligently so we can have peaceful lives in our communities. For us Americans and people around the world, 9/11 will always be a day that represents fallen humanity at its worst, and united humanity at its best. A day when many people experience endless violence and tragic, unspeakable loss, but when all of us witness the heroism, the generosity, and the compassion that represents the best in humanity. Unfortunately, terrorism continues to destroy innocent lives around the world. On this very day, the war continues to loom in Ukraine, as terrorists keep trying to take away Ukrainians' independence and freedom. Our tears for the innocent victims of terrorism in the world are truly sacred. They are not the marks of weakness, but of honor and power. They are real messengers of overwhelming grief and immeasurable love. By coming together for these memorial services, we honor those who have lost and who has given their lives 21 years ago. We renew our strength to move forward in the face of both old and new challenges. And we come together to invigorate the values we share with the people all around the globe, values that have defined our people, our country, as one nation under God. And so we pray, Lord God, lover of mankind, bless our God-protected nation, the United States of America. Do good to those who do good, and grant all our people safety, health, salvation, and eternal life. Visit those who continue to suffer from the terrorist attack upon our people and heal them. Guide those in our armed forces, in our fire, police, and rescue services, and in our government. Upon those who have asked us, unworthy though we are, to pray for them, have mercy. Remember our fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and friends who have fallen asleep in the Lord under the most horrific of circumstances, and grant them rest where the light of your face shines in place, where there is no more pain, no sorrow, no suffering. May their memory be eternal. Remember us, O Lord, your humble servants, and enlighten our minds with the light of your knowledge, and guide us in the way of your commandments, through the prayers of our most pure Lady, the birth-giver of God, and of all the saints, for the ages of ages. Amen.
By the way, thank you, Father, for those inspiring words, and also thank you for your continuing work that you do in relief for the Ukrainian people. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker, our main speaker this morning, Lieutenant Colonel Dale Carver. Lieutenant Carver attended Illinois Western University from '69 to '73, earning a Bachelor's of Arts degree in communication and participating in the Army ROTC. He graduated and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army Signal Corps in June 16, 1973. The colonel has served 6 tours of duty and was awarded the Army Achievement Medal in South Carolina, U.S. Army, the National Guard Commendation Medal, United States Army, the Commendation Medal for Joint Service, the Commendation Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, and the Legion of Merit. The colonel retired in 1993, going back some time here, but he didn't retire. In January 2017, or that same year, he formed a program that was active in the local ROTC. In fact, he operated the junior ROTC program in Columbia, South Carolina in '93, and McCormick, South Carolina in 2004. Finally, in January 2017, he retired and relocated to Illinois, and Dale became an active local veterans, part of a local active veterans group, the Veteran Voices, and was eventually appointed as a member to the Orland Park Veterans Commission in 2018, appointed as chairman in January of 2020. Dale is married to Nancy, and they had 2 adult children, Robin Blayton and Brian. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Lieutenant Colonel Dale Carver, retired.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett, and all of the other folks, dignitaries, aldermen, mayors that have shown up here today, and especially thank you to all of you. I am very happy to be here this morning. I am even happier to see each of you here. It's important that you are. It's an honor for me to have been invited to speak here this morning at the inaugural Field of Honor event in Palos Hills. I am grateful. And speaking of being grateful, I am grateful for the presence of members of our military services who are participating with us here today. They're in a uniform all around us, and they have come here today so that you will know that the bastions of freedom are well served by our current military. So let's give them a round of applause. Please take a moment before you leave here today to speak with these people, learn a little bit about them, learn what's going on in their lives today, and also to visit the Army Aviation Exhibition, the traveling van that's at the rear of today's activities. It's an amazing display. Whenever I'm invited to speak in an event, I research the event and I'm looking for something that speaks to me, that grabs me. In this case, I looked at videos of Field of Honor events across our great country. And when I watched those videos, what immediately seized my attention was the similarity between the Fields of Honor and our national cemeteries. Have you ever been to a national cemetery? When my wife Nancy and I visited each of the national cemeteries that we have been fortunate enough to see, both in our great country and across the ocean, we're stunned. Okay? We're just absolutely stunned each time. It's not something you get used to. Looking out across the seemingly endless rows of markers, looking out over the meticulously kept grounds, words are insufficient to describe that experience. I have never been able to adequately communicate to anyone the magnificent, awesome, sobering grandeur of that view. If you haven't ever been to a national cemetery, please make an effort. Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery is just 30 miles from here, down by Elway, Illinois. It's one of the newer ones, but it's impressive nonetheless. Please take a trip down there sometime and just move through the area. It'll inspire you. When I think of national cemeteries, I think everybody does this. They think first and foremost of Arlington. Arlington National Cemetery. It's the cornerstone. It's the flagship of the National Cemetery system. Now, Mayor Bennett mentioned that when I retired from active duty, I started up a couple of Army Junior ROTC programs. I was the senior instructor. One of the curriculum items was military history, and I couldn't pass up this opportunity to reprise a little bit of that effort. But it will only be a few sentences, not a professorial type of explanation here. Before the Civil War, one of George Washington's descendants bought the ground that was known as Arlington Plantation. They did that, they were planning to remember George Washington with that ground. But in 1831, one of those descendants married Robert E. Lee. The Lee family lived at Arlington until the Civil War, and they wisely decided they needed to move to a safer location and abandoned Arlington. The Union Army seized the property, according to them, not out of revenge, but because of its strategic location. You know, we're from the government, we're here to help you, that stuff. On May 13th of 1864, Private William Christian was the first service member buried at what would become Arlington National Cemetery. It was just over a month later, on June 15th, 1864, that the designation of Arlington as a national cemetery became official. History lesson over. Now to the present. There are currently more than 400,000 persons buried at Arlington. Most are military service members at some time in their lives. Some are the dependents of those service members, their wives, their husbands, or their children. Each of them served their country. Each of them did what they were ordered to do. In some cases, in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States military service, they saw something that needed to be done and did it on their own. In every case, they answered that call. They went where they were told to go, they did what they were ordered to do, and they did it the best they could possibly do it. The same characteristics apply to each of those represented by the flags behind me today. Each and every one. Now, was each of the persons being remembered here today a hero? Are each of the 400,000 buried at Arlington a hero? I don't know. The definition of the word hero has become diluted in the modern era. Make a good catch in a football game, you're a hero. What I can say about each of these people, represented by these flags and by the markers in Arlington, is that they did something heroic. They performed a heroic act. They stepped forward. They did their duty. They were the ones willing to fight against anything or anyone threatening our country, our way of life, our homes, and our families. You might think, hey, that's a no-brainer. Anyone would do that. I'll take you back in history a little bit. Anybody remember Pearl Harbor? The day after Pearl Harbor, when President Franklin Roosevelt went to Congress for a declaration of war, one person said no, it's not worth the war. Okay? One person. Even after the thousands of lives lost on December 7th. Anybody remember a guy named Neville Chamberlain, Prime Minister of England in 1938, who went to communicate with Hitler and came back and stood on the ramp of his airplane waving a document saying, "Peace for our time." He appeased Hitler for 1 year and then began the deadliest war in human history. Let's come to our own, for many of us, time of remembrance. How about the Vietnam era? Updated records show that somewhere between 60,000 and 100,000 young American men dodged the draft and left the country to avoid service. Now, I will accept, and please let's all accept, that some number of those were actually, factually, truly, morally opposed to the war in Vietnam. I get it. I can accept that. But I also firmly believe that the larger portion of those who left our country did so because they were cowards, caring about nothing more than staying safe, and no matter the cost. The people represented by the flags in front of you today, behind me, they were not cowards. They did something heroic. They put the ideals and well-being of our country and our fellow citizens first, before themselves. Now, I will close my remarks this morning with a quote that has stayed with me since the day I first saw it. I was serving at Fort Carson, Colorado in the early 80s. I was a lean, mean, green fighting machine with the 4th Infantry Division. You can't tell it to look at me now, I know, okay? We'll go there, okay? But on the front page of the Post newspaper, the Mountaineer, there was a quote. And I still have that clipping in a folder of things I never want to forget. It's yellow and it's brittle, but it still speaks powerfully to me. It's a quote from an Englishman. His name was John Stuart Mill. He lived from 1806 to 1873. He was a member of Parliament representing the city of Westminster for 3 years, or 4, from 1865 to 1868. And he was and has been regarded by many as the most influential English language philosopher of the 19th century. The guy had a brain, okay? Please keep in mind the era in which this quote was first written. If it had been written today, it would not have been gender specific, okay? Ladies, I'm not leaving you out. He just didn't know what you had in you, okay? He wrote, "War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks that nothing is worth war, is much worse. A man who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by the exertions of better men than himself." I gotta tell you what, one of the few people I'd like to bring back just so I could shake his hand. He got it. Okay, he got it to the depths of his soul. So each of these flags here today represents someone who saw the need and answered the call. No matter in which service they performed their duty, no matter where they performed their duty, no matter how long they performed their duty, they did it for those who could not do it for themselves. They even did it for those who would not do it for themselves. They did it for all of us. It is right that we honor and remember each of them here today and always. Now that's where I was going to end my speech, but I've got a microphone. What the heck? It's only one more page and I speak fairly rapidly. I got to thinking about being here with you today, honoring those who are represented by these flags. And then just like the sun breaking through the clouds, it hit me. There's one very important difference between the national cemeteries and this field of honor, all fields of honor. Yes, the national cemeteries are places of remembrance and reverence. They should be. But fields of honor are much more than that. They are, in their own way, a celebration. They are a celebration of service. A celebration of those who have passed on, in some cases, but also a celebration of those who are still serving, those people I spoke of earlier and all around the world. I'd be willing to bet that here in this audience somewhere are the next generation of those who will step forward and serve. Some. This field of honor is a living celebration. Just as those whose final resting place is remembered with a marker, those we are remembering here, those we are honoring here, those we are supporting here, are in our hearts and minds today and every day. They are represented by the symbol of the lifeblood of our country, our national flag. Each flag reminding us of those we honor today. So when this microphone is turned off this morning, let's spend some time celebrating together across the street. Let's gather in the field of honor. Let's not only honor the person represented by the flag that we felt was important enough to have placed there, but hear the stories of the other people. I've been to other events similar to this, and that's the real reward. Okay, is figuring out there's a whole lot of really good people who answered the call and who are remembered. So let us hear the stories represented by the flags placed here by others. I'm going to add one little thing here because he'll kill me if I don't. Jim Cruz has a booth over here next to the Service Club booth. He takes cards to be signed and put in care packages to our soldiers all around the world. Please don't leave here today without stopping and signing at least one card for our troops. Okay? Thank you all for inviting me here today. I am so proud. Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel, thank you. And thank you for your service to this country, and thank you for joining us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Ron Lattis, a U.S. Army veteran and Palos Hills resident, and also with them will be Staff Sergeant Robert E. King to talk about and present the Missing Man Table ceremony. Ron?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to say that I'm very honored and thankful for this ceremony. This is an extremely touching experience, being that I am an Army veteran, and also it's a wonderful expression of support to all the active duty service members that are with us today. I'd like to say thank you to all those in the community for the recognition to each military service member, and that recognition is evident with all the flags that are placed behind me today. Each flag serves as a reminder of those who answered freedom's call. Each flag is also a reminder that freedom's call is demanding, it comes too often, and it asks much of those who answer. And at times, it demands everything from those who heed the call. I'd just like to say, since 1775 to 2022, 1,304,702 souls have been lost in service of freedom. Today, 81,900 Americans are classified as prisoners of war and missing in action. They gave to freedom's call the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Doing so for our country and for all of us gathered here today. One very significant way that we can honor that service and that sacrifice is through the memorial setting of the Missing Man Table. The table is a tribute to those missing in action, prisoners of war, and the fallen. Oh, on cue. 1 second there. Yeah, that was on cue. It wasn't played, but very timely. The table also pays homage to those who did not return. Today we remember and honor them, and we ask God to bless them and their loved ones. I now ask you please to give your attention to the Missing Man Table to the left of the podium, or to your right. Sergeant King of the United States Army is standing at the table, and he's a reminder of the continuous service that we must be committed to. I will now explain the significance each item placed on the table holds. The Missing Man Table is round to show everlasting concern. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives. There is a single red rose which represents the blood that was shed and the lives that lost in that service. It also represents the families and friends who keep the faith. A red ribbon stands for our continued determination to account for those missing. A slice of lemon placed on the plate reminds us of the bitter fate of the captured and missing. A pinch of salt reminds us of the tears shed. A candle reflects our ongoing hope, and an inverted glass symbolizes their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty. Our comrades and loved ones are no longer present, but they are not forgotten.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Thank you, Ron, for that very moving. They don't want us to forget them. Ladies and gentlemen, before I bring Mike back up for some concluding remarks, let me tell you that this event could not have taken place this morning without Mike. He came to me months ago and suggested the Field of Honor ceremony, and I said I'm certainly all in. But to tell you the amount of work that has gone into bringing about this ceremony this morning, the hours and hours that I know Michael has put into this, I couldn't be more proud to be mayor of the city of Palos Hills, home to Moraine Valley Community College, and to have this event take place in our city. Michael, thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask to come back up to the podium for concluding remarks. Michael Barr is also obviously an alderman in the city of Palos Hills. And at the end of his remarks, we will play God, America the Beautiful. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have to say, I get all the accolades for this, but we had a great group of people. It wasn't me. It was all the people sitting here to my left, some of the people sitting to my right. It didn't happen just with one person. We had an amazing, amazing journey for the last year. What a great ceremony. I want to thank Mayor Bennett again for his help. Again, as I said earlier, he's been in from day one. We sat in his office, Don O'Connell and I, and he said, "What do you want me to do?" I want to thank retired Lieutenant Colonel Dale Carver. His wonderful words and his commitment to this project has been just overwhelming. I also want to thank Reverend Vasilis Zendeja for his blessing and the incredible efforts the Saints Peter and Paul Ukrainian Orthodox Church have done for the Ukrainian people. Thank you to DJ Bruce Quintos, who's over here to the right. He's also a veteran. Our bugler, John Carson, from Buglers Across America. Special thanks to the Sons of the American Legion, our color guard today, presentation of our flags. Also like to thank Ron Latwitz and Staff Sergeant Robert E. King for the missing man table. And I apologize, I have to read off this list because I learned a lesson a long time ago. When you thank people, you better make sure you write it down. Before I thank our special guests who are seated behind us and Dr. Jenkins, I want to thank all of our military men and our veterans here today. Those are the people that really, really deserve a thanks and a gratitude. And women, I apologize. Men and women of our armed forces. I'd like to thank Congressman Sean Casten, Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller, Mayor John Mahoney of Palos Park, Mayor Bob Strauss of Palos Heights, U.S. Army Captain Wittendorf, U.S. Army Captain Sun, and the last three gentlemen I'm going to thank have been very instrumental in us moving this program forward. One is Lions Club President Herb Schuman, Sertoma Club President Jerry Dingles, and Kiwanis Club President Clay Gervais. I also want to thank Colonial Flag for providing flags, guidance, and support. I can't say enough about the committee. People put this together. We spent countless hours working on this, and basically we had no issues. Everything kind of went smooth other than a few last-minute issues. When I read your names, I'd like you to stand. I'd like the people on the committee to be recognized. Oops, I apologize. I forgot to thank Dr. Sylvia Jenkins in Moraine Valley. I apologize. Palos Hills Alderman Peter Donahue. Peter is responsible for today's event. Everything that's happening here today, Peter is responsible for. Peter was involved with us for the first meeting we had at Starbucks back in January. Hills Chamber of Commerce Director, Teresa Stack. She's responsible for our banners, our flags, any type of material that needed to be printed. Teresa was responsible for up until I think 10:30 last night. I was on the phone with her. 2 o'clock this morning. Palos Hills Alderman Mark Brockman. Mark missed a meeting. Mark missed one of our meetings, and since he wasn't there, we gave him the responsibility of putting our flags out in the field, and what a remarkable job he's done. It's a sight to behold. Palos Hills Alderman Mike Price, who was our utility player. Anything that we didn't want to do, Mike raised his hand and said, I'll do it. Palos Hills Alderman Pauline Stratton. Pauline, her advice and guidance really got us through this project. Palos Township Clerk Jane Nolan. She held our public relations issues and did a wonderful job. Palos Hills Alderman Jack Clifford. I call him our bulldog. He's our Lions Club member that worked diligently to get the word out and donations and everything that we needed. Kiwanis Club President Clay Gervais. Again, the time he put in to coordinate all our military assets we have out there was just amazing. And not one phone call. He handled it completely on his own, never calling anybody in the committee, what should I do? So I really want to give a round of applause for Clay. Again, retired Lieutenant Colonel Dale Carver. Dale has been instrumental in this project as we moved along. U.S. Army Captain Eric Wittendorf. He's been with us basically since we started, and he's reached out to we brought the other military assets. I probably shouldn't say this, but I think he'll be a general of the Army someday. Now this next name I'm going to mess up. She knows I'm going to mess up her name. Retired Army Staff Sergeant, Master Sergeant, veteran Christine Jasmowski. I'm going to tell a little story. The reason I knew I was going to mess up her name, a few years back, she invited me to her military retirement. I was honored to be invited to the retirement. And the general of the Army that was running the retirement mispronounced her name. And Christine stopped her, the general, and repronounced her name. So I knew from the minute she got involved in this committee, I was going to do that. Executive Director of Goodyear Park District, Tom Landick. His experience was just unbelievable. He got us through just amazing. Sir Tolman, Chairman of the Board, Jerry Lipinski. He was our accountant. He was our financial guy. He was up there and did it. Kiwanis Lieutenant Governor Mary Mikey. She helped handle our volunteers and she made sure we were insured in today's program. My wife, Mary Ann LaBar, she told me not to say anything, but I had to thank her. I have a friend of mine here today, a veteran, and he was in the rock and roll business for 50 years. And I was in an event with him one night. He happened to be the last person called up at the event. And he said, you know, like a rock concert, they always call the best act for last. Palos Hills Alderman Donald O'Connell, our co-chairman of this event, she was the heart and soul of this event. She kept it going, going, and going. She's an organizational powerhouse. And the engine that made everything in this event go today. I personally cannot thank her. Hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. She'd be working, she'd give up all her work time, but again, I can't thank Donald O'Connell, Alderman Donald O'Connell enough. We would not be here today without her. At this time, I'd like to recall the color guard.
Colors. Read the colors. Okay, left face. Left face.
Say
Please be seated. At this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Donna O'Connell, and she's going to take us the rest of the way.
I would also like to thank Mike Hebron and Kylie O'Connell of DJ Productions, as well as the Hills Chamber of Commerce, the United States Army, the United States Marine Corps, and the United States Navy, Bruce DeQuintos, the Chicago Guard of Pipes and Drums, and the Boy Scouts of America. Mike said he saved the best for last, but I think I did. Events like this don't just happen. It takes a lot of dedication and hardworking individuals guided by the vision of one person, and that one person is Mike LaBarre.
Yes.
Mike, your vision to do this Field of Honor has turned into a reality by all of your hard work, enthusiasm, and motivational skills in more ways than one. You've been an incredible partner to work with for the past 8 months. From our numerous calls to our many meetings, you have been there for it all. I sincerely appreciate you and everything you have done for myself, our community, and our service members by bringing us all together today. Your vision has become all of ours, and I sincerely thank you on behalf of all the committee members and myself. Job well done, and then some. Thank you again for being such a great mentor to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to introduce Christine Chesmitsky, Jen Latwitz, and Jenny Schultz-Frankowitz. They're going to read the names of all the service members that have dedications. As they read the names, please feel free to stroll through the field of flags and take pictures and share stories with each other. Please note that the large banner on the west side of the field with the complete list of members' names. In conclusion, I want to thank everybody for coming out. The flags will stay up until September 13th. After that, they can be picked up at the Palos Hills Community Center on 103rd Street until 9/19. Have a nice weekend, and thank you all again for coming. Hi there, I'm Donna O'Connell, and I am here at the Field of Honor in the city of Palos Hills, and I am with Mayor Robert Strauss. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's fantastic being here today. It's great to memorialize the people who gave their lives, and this is a super ceremony. A great turnout, too. It's excellent.
Thank you so much. And yes, so what did you think of the ceremony altogether?
I thought it was great. I mean, it was just concise, but to the point, and did what we wanted to do, memorialize people who gave their lives. And now, for the next couple of days, you'll have the flags out there, and it'll call a lot of interest, not only to the flags, to the campus, but maybe people will stop and see, take a look and see what you've got there. So
wonderful. It was a wonderful tribute to our veterans, and we've had a lot of the community come out, and a lot of our mayors, and we're so glad to have you here with us, and thank you so very much.
Anytime. I've loved it.
Thank you, Mayor.